All right, so that one was kind of rushed. I'd like to do I over again. So I want to follow BEDMAS, and I kind of want to put these two together and join them together. Now, because they're adding, I'm going to put them together with a multiply. So this 72 is fine. I have this a half sitting here, but then I can put these together with a 3 times 27. Now there's no longer a need for these brackets, so I will get rid of them here. So we have this a half and log base 2, 27 times 3 is 81. And now these are both log base 2. I want to join them together, but I can't with this half. And so now I'm going to bring this half up front, up above here, up with this 81. And of course, as we've done before here, this means a square root. So I'm going to go log base 2 of 72 minus log base 2 of 81, but now to the power of a half. And I'm going to erase that half, and I'm just going to write the square root symbol. So the square root of 81 is 9. So log base 2 of 72 minus log base 2 of 9. Now I don't have any numbers out in front. They're both log base 2. I can join them together. It's a subtraction, so I'm going to have to divide. So log base 2 of 72 over 9. So this will be reduced. 72 over 9 is an 8. And of course, this question says 2 to the what would get me an 8, and that answer is 3. So I'll zoom out here in case you want to take a look at what I've done, and we'll go ahead and try H in a moment. So not H, but rather J. We have X's here now, but the same rule still applies. As long as they're all the same base, in this case they're base 9, we can join them. Now we can't join them with these numbers out in front, like the 3, that's a coefficient of a 3, coefficient of a 2, coefficient of a 4. So we're going to have to go ahead and use that first log law and bring up the 3, or bring up the 2, or in this case, bring up the 4. So I'm going to have log base 9 of x to the 3 minus log base 9 of x to the 2 and plus log base 9 of x to the 4. Now I can join them together in the same way that we've been doing this whole time. Log base 9, I'd like to do a big brackets here. Anything that's positive is going to multiply up top, so I've got an x to the 3 and an x to the 4. And this subtraction will be a division of x squared. Now we have to use our exponent laws, and so when you multiply, you have to add the exponents, and then when you divide, you will subtract them. So I can put the top one together, so log base 9. Because these are multiplying, you can add, so x to the 7. And of course, there's just an x to the 2 there. And then because these are dividing, we can subtract the exponent. So this is log base 9 of 7 minus 2 is x to the 5. Now there's nothing else to do here. We can't evaluate it because there's no numbers. So we've just, we can just box this. That is the way that we've simplified this. It used to be this big line, and we've joined everything together. So let's go on to K here. Now this is very much like the first question that we just did in this video where I tried to join these two together. We could do that, but these aren't numbers anymore. They are variables, they're letters, they're x and y. So I have found the easiest way is actually to distribute this negative a third in. So we have log base 6 of x, And then this negative a third will just kind of hang out in front. So this negative a third, and then of course we've got this log base 6 of x. And then we've got this negative a third times 2. So we got this negative a third, negative a third times 2. And when you're multiplying fractions, I realize this is a 2, it's actually a 2 over 1. But when we're multiplying fractions, you can multiply the tops. So that's going to be a negative 2, and of course 3 times 1 is 3. So negative a third times 2 is negative 2/3. So this whole negative a third times 2 is a negative 2/3 log 6y. And so I can't join them together. They're all log 6s, which is good, but I can't join them together until I get these coefficients up above using log law number 1. So I'm going to bring this third up, and I'm going to bring this 2/3 up. So I'm just going to, I'll keep that subtraction symbol there. I don't need that at the moment to do anything with that. So I'll have that minus, but then the 1/3, I'll bring that up. So log base 6 of x to the 1/3 minus log base 6 y to the 2/3. Maybe I'll put this in red here. So this is the 2/3 that we brought up, and this is the 1/3 that we brought up. So here's that y. So now I have to put these together. They're all log base 6s, so I will do the same thing that I've been doing for quite a while. I'll just do log base 6 and have this big set of brackets and a fraction. And let's take a look here. I might need a little bit more room, but the subtraction stuff, there's 2 of them. They're both going to go in the bottom, and this is a positive. So the x is just here, and then the x to the 1/3 is right there, and the y to the 2/3 is also down there. So we have an x to the 1/3 and a y to the 2/3. Almost done. These x's can be combined, very much like these ones could be combined here, the 7 and the 2. Now those were whole numbers. We have, well, what looks to be a no number, so there's actually a 1 there. And so we have to go 1 minus a third. So you could think of it, if you had a pizza, you have 1 full pizza, you subtract a third, we would be left with 2/3. So we have log base 6. When you subtract, your number, your answer always goes up at the top. So there's the 2/3, and if the y, the 2/3, stays down below. And that's everything. Just as a reminder for those of us who have forgotten, when I was going 1 minus a third, if you wanted to, you could think of it as a 1 over 1, and you can get a common denominator, which in this case would be 3. So you have a 3 over 3 minus a 1 over 3. I'll make this a little neater, which would get you a 2 over 3. And so that's how I got the 2/3. 1 minus a third is 2/3. Okay, so I'll zoom out here. This is our final answer. I will shift it a little bit here, but that is our final answer. And we have one more to do. So the last one here, letter L, very much of a similar style, but just something extra added in here. We've got 2x minus 2, an x squared, 2x, and a minus 3, but we have no numbers out in front, so we don't have to bring anything up, which is kind of nice. And they're both log 5, which is also nice, because that means we can join them together. So I'm going to join them together here, just like I always have. This is a positive logarithm, so I'll put that up top. And this is a negative logarithm, so that will go on the bottom. And now we're going to have to do some factoring. This is something that we haven't done in this unit. So we've got this 2x minus 2, that needs to be factored. So they both have a 2 that can be factored out, and you're left with a x minus 1. So that's one factoring. And we've got this x squared plus 2x minus 3. That can be factored. So the left side has to multiply to x, so x and x. The right side has to multiply to negative 3. So I know 3 and 1 would get me 3, but I need to get a negative. Now, you could put the negative up top, and I don't think that'll work. And you can check, because if you multiply this diagonal, you'd get x times negative 3 is a negative 3x. And this diagonal, x times 1 is a 1x. And if you added those, negative 3 and a positive 1 would get you a negative 2. And that is not our middle term. So I know that I have not factored this correctly, so I have to change it. So that's why I knew that the negative actually went down here. So again, the left side multiplies to the left. X times x is x squared. The right side multiplies to the right. 3 times negative 1 is indeed negative 3. And the diagonals, x times 3 is a 3x. X times negative 1 is a negative 1x. And if you join them together, you get 2x, which is our middle term. So I verified it. So this thing is an x plus 3 and an x minus 1. So I need to factor this. Sorry, I did factor it, but I need to write down what I got. So log base 5 of, now the top one here was a 2 bracket x minus 1. And the bottom was an x plus 3 and an x minus 1. And if there's anything that can cancel, we can. And so these are both x minus 1, so we can cancel that. So we've simplified that a little bit. So now we've got log of 5, 2 over x plus 3. So I'll zoom out there, and you can take a look. I think that's the last one of these types.